An important message from Youth Fountain Laboratory, makers of VasoFlux and VasoFlux for Men. If you're over the age of 35 and over the years you've eaten pizza, dairy foods, deli meats, or meats with fat, you are likely to have some degree of plaque buildup in your veins and arteries. This increases your risk of suffering a stroke or heart attack exponentially, and no one wants such a catastrophic event to occur. Introducing Plaque Out. Plaque Out is made of all natural ingredients proven to help dissolve clots in the blood, remove calcium deposits and plaque from the walls of veins and arteries, improve viscosity of the blood, improve elasticity of the veins and arteries, treat varicose veins, and prevent the reoccurrence of plaque buildup. For more information, visit Youth Fountain Laboratory at youthfountainlab.com or call 1-800-853-7856. And remember, to help unclog veins and arteries, get the plaque out.
The curious case of Ron Mercer begins with his outstanding high school career, leading to a national championship as a freshman at Kentucky and having a chance to win back-to-back as a sophomore, reaching the final game once again, to a lottery selection by one of the greatest sports teams in history, having a great couple years to start off, to immediately after becoming a journeyman across the NBA at just 23 years old and out of the league by 28. If you ask anyone that was paying attention when Ron was coming up, why didn't he have a better career, you will get a plethora of responses. Something else you may hear more than a few times is that they themselves don't know. For the most part, he was productive at most of the spots he landed in, but just couldn't make his presence stick to one team. Was he lazy? Did he only care about making his money? Was he soft and couldn't play in the league anymore? Or was he tired of being moved and underappreciated as a player? Let's see which one of those I agree with or not. Ronald Eugene Mercer, born May 18th, 1976. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Ash, get it. Ron Mercer is a 6'7" shooting guard from Nashville, Tennessee, and was a star in his state, winning Mr. Basketball twice. He went on to Oak Hill Academy in Virginia, where he became a McDonald's All-American, Naismith Player of the Year, and was rated tops in the 1995 class with names like Stephon Marbury, Vince Carter, Kevin Garnett, and a previous feature, Tim Thomas. Mercer was intriguing up to that point because he had great size for the position, above average leaping ability, and an already developed pro body that could handle 90s era basketball. He was also a clean-cut guy and not to mention had the game to back that all up. But watching and remembering Ron, there were a few things I believe he didn't have in his game that he'd need later on top of having to fight the politics of basketball when reaching future levels like the NBA. Stunt number 1, shooters shoot. And shooting guards especially are expected to be able to do just that at an elite level or have some other elite level talent to mask that. In crucial moments later in his NBA career specifically, Mercer, for whatever reason, wasn't making enough of an impact shooting the ball from the three-point line, and it cost him down the line, and I'll explain just how later. He would go on to choose one of the top 3 schools in the country at the time, the Kentucky Wildcats, to play for one of the greatest recruiting coaches ever in Rick Pitino, whom by all accounts was the most player-friendly and a guy who just won games. I can't speak on some other things he's alleged to have been doing, but besides that, to me, he was one of my favorites to watch from a distance. Ron entered a college program that had 9 eventual future NBA players on its roster, and at that point, from the college three-point range, he wasn't bad. Of course, that distance is a mid-range shot in the NBA, and Mercer didn't adjust well from a deeper range. The team in his freshman year, led by Tony Delk and Antoine Walker, won a national championship in Ron's reserve role, with him scoring 20 points that game and making 3 out of 4 of his three-point attempts. He averaged 8 points that year and shot 33% from 3 in 18 minutes a game. As a sophomore, with Walker and Delk off to the NBA, he led his team to another national championship game, averaging 18 points a game and shooting almost 35% from the college three. He declared for the draft after just 2 seasons in college as one of the hottest names entering it. It's rumored that Pitino, who had moved on to the NBA the same year as Ron, purposely told anyone that would listen that he didn't think Mercer was good enough to be a lottery pick, in hopes teams pass on him and he could select him himself. His team did, selecting Ron as the 6th overall pick and 3 spots ahead of Tracy McGrady. He came into the league to a bad Celtics team and became the 2nd leading scorer behind Antoine Walker at 15 a game. He shot 10% from the NBA three-point line that season. And this is where professional basketball is a lot different than you simply being the best player on other levels, so your deficiencies are looked over. In the NBA, teams aren't only looking for a good player. They're also looking for a good fit for what they want to create moving forward. Ron Mercer not being able to shoot from deep, although he was clearly a solid player, didn't fit their vision. In his 2nd season, he shot 16% from 3, rarely attempting any, even though he averaged 17 points a game. It was also the rookie year of Paul Pierce, who was right behind Mercer at 16.5 points a game and shot 41% from 3 that season. He was bigger and obviously a great fit for where the team wanted to go. Because of his inability to fit into that picture and the emergence of Paul Pierce, Ron found himself being traded in the offseason to the Denver Nuggets and began a long journey around the NBA from there. Stunt number 2, the emergence of Paul Pierce. Another aspect of professional sports is that if a younger player comes after you and shows he's better, or at least a better fit, you become expendable to that team. It's unfortunate, but a lot like Eddie Jones, it's where Ron Mercer also found himself, with Paul Pierce right on his heel and looking like he had what it took early on to be just what the franchise wanted, which was a bona fide franchise player instead of a guy that's more of a 2nd to 3rd option piece. After seeing enough of Paul's rookie season, the Celtics felt they didn't need Mercer anymore and traded him. Pierce would continue to ascend in year 2, averaging 19.5 points a game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and career-high 2.1 steals a game. Mercer spent just 37 games with his new team and shot a solid 38% from 3, attempting 1 a game, and averaged 18 points for the Nuggets before being traded mid-season to the Orlando Magic. To this day, I have no idea why Denver felt they needed to trade their 2nd leading scorer and a guy that was having success shooting the ball and being an immediate fit. Either way, they did, and in Orlando, he played the remaining 31 games of the season, averaging 15.2 points a game and not making a single 3 for them. This time, Mercer left the team on his own and signed with the Bulls in the offseason, where he had his best scoring season at 19 points a game and 30% from 3. But once again, the team didn't see his value, so for the 4th time at just 24 years old, he was on the move, being traded again. By this time, Paul Pierce had literally become a full-blown star in the league, one of its top players, and was building a legendary championship Celtic career, having his number retired. Safe to say, the Celtics got it right when choosing to move Mercer and give Pierce the space he needed to become those things, but I still think the Celtics could have seen success keeping Ron, Walker, and Pierce together. With Mercer not being able to shoot from NBA range though, I can see how that could clog the lane and slow both Pierce and Walker down. Stunt number 3, this time is for the money.
If you don't write checks, how do you pay these guys?
Straight cash, homie.
Straight cash, homie. The 3rd growth stunt in Ron's career in my eyes may or may not stick, depending on who you talk to, and I won't stand on accusing him of not being a player that cared about the game and only did enough to get a check. Effort, a lot like injury, is something that's hard to measure because you don't know what a player's feeling or how hard they're actually going, as it may seem to you they're not giving 100%. In the NBA, you develop a jacket covering your name, it seems, and depending on what your jacket reads on the back, you're treated a certain way. If teams begin to think you're a guy that's not going to give effort every single time, I can see how you can end up out of the league just entering your prime at 28 years old. Looking at his eventual fall off production-wise, one can also assume that with those numbers and the drastic change from past years, maybe a lot of the accusations are true. After averaging 17 points a game in Chicago before being traded to Indiana, Mercer's production fell to 4 points a game to finish the season, and he would never average close to 10 points a game ever again over the next 3 years before finally being waived at 28 years old by the New Jersey Nets. Was he playing for the money? I can't outright accuse him of such, but I do know that something happened in the latter part of his career that's hard to explain. And by then, he'd make a nice chunk of cheese, but who knows? All in all, Mercer was a solid guard in the 90s and early 2000s that struggled with the things mentioned above, along with smaller aspects like creating his own shot or not doing much more than being adequate to slightly above as a scorer. Either way, many people expected more from him, but for these reasons, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out. Also, if you have some time, I'm inviting you to check out the new website. Many have been asking for a Cash App or how they can support the channel. Honestly, you watching the video and getting to this point of it is more than enough. But if you want to go the extra mile and get some pretty cool gear at the same time, new winter hoodies have just been released. It's a part of a project I'm working on, all original designs. For now, there's the gold tips along with the red and black. A play on words that exalt the game we all know and love. StuntedGrowth3.com if you want to get some gear and show some support. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. I'm really out this time. Chill.